Something in your life has been shifting, and you may not have had the language for it yet. You wake up with a strange restlessness, not exactly anxiety, not exactly excitement, just an inner pressure you cannot explain. Things that once felt familiar no longer fit the same way. Conversations feel thinner. Certain relationships have quietly faded without drama, without closure. You did not fight to keep them, and they did not fight to stay. It just happened. Your sleep has changed. Either you wake up earlier than usual with your mind already racing, or you feel tired even after resting. Your thoughts drift more often. You catch yourself staring into space, sensing that something is approaching, but you cannot yet see its shape. There is a subtle dissatisfaction with normal. Routine feels heavy. Comfort feels suspicious. You are not depressed, but you are no longer content to drift. Opportunities you expected to last have stalled. Doors you assumed were permanent have closed without warning. And yet, strangely, you do not feel panicked. You feel alert, almost like your nervous system is being tuned rather than threatened. There is an invisible hand applying pressure, not to crush you, but to reposition you. You may have noticed that your tolerance for certain environments has dropped. Noise drains you faster. Meaningless interaction exhausts you. You crave clarity, truth, alignment. Small talk feels like friction. You are not becoming antisocial, you are becoming selective. Your spirit is rejecting what it can no longer carry into the next phase. At the same time, there is a paradox. Even as some things fall away, ideas begin to chase you. Thoughts about expansion, about resources, about capacity. You imagine yourself handling more responsibility, more impact, more provision, and then you immediately feel resistance inside. A voice says, "That's not for you." Another says, "Be careful." Another whispers, "Don't want too much." This inner conflict is not random. You have been taught, consciously or unconsciously, to associate abundance with danger, to believe that wanting more means becoming less pure, to think that receiving too much will cost you something sacred. So when life begins to stretch you toward increase, your instinct is to pull back, to slow down, to make yourself smaller again. And yet the pressure does not leave. You might even feel like life is speeding up around you while you are being forced to pause. Waiting seasons feel longer than they should. Delays feel intentional, almost surgical, as if something unseen is rearranging your foundations before allowing movement again. This is often when people numb themselves scrolling, overworking, distracting anything to quiet the inner signal. But the signal persists because it is not emotional. It is directional. There is a reason old versions of you can no longer survive. There is a reason certain coping mechanisms no longer work. There is a reason you feel both stretched and restrained at the same time. You are standing in the tension between who you have been and what you are being prepared to carry. And let this be said clearly, what is approaching you is not chaos, it is capacity. You have been running, not physically but internally. Running from responsibility, running from visibility, running from the weight of more. Not because you are lazy, but because you are aware. You know that increase demands integrity, that provision demands stewardship, that elevation exposes. So instead of chasing, you hesitated. Instead of reaching, you delayed. Instead of receiving, you spiritualized waiting. But what if the restlessness is not a warning to stop, but an invitation to stand still and let what is pursuing you catch up? Loss has been part of the process. Disconnection has been necessary. When certain people left, it wasn't punishment. It was reduction. When certain plans failed, it wasn't rejection. it was protection. Not everything that could have worked should have worked because it would have required you to stay small enough to manage it alone. Now, something larger is aligning. You may not call it wealth yet. You may not call it provision. You may simply feel pressure. But pressure often precedes overflow. Ground tightens before it breaks open. Muscles burn before strength multiplies. This is not the season to sprint. This is the season to stop running. Stop running from the idea that you are meant to handle more. Stop running from the discomfort of expansion. Stop running from the responsibility that comes with blessing. There is a reason you are being slowed down. There is a reason your soul is being recalibrated. There is a reason your appetite has changed. Heaven does not release weight into weak containers, not weak in ability, but weak in alignment. You are not being punished, you are being prepared. And this preparation has always followed a pattern. As the ancient wisdom declares in the book of Proverbs, chapter 22, verse 4, "By humility and the fear of the Lord are riches and honor and life." Notice the order: humility first, alignment first. Then riches not as temptation but as consequence, not as distraction but as assignment. What is coming toward you requires a different posture than chasing. It requires receiving, and receiving demands stillness, trust, and readiness. If this resonates not emotionally, but deeply, let it mark the moment. At the end of this message, type 777 in the comments as a sign that you are choosing to stop running and start aligning. If this spoke to you, like and share it so it reaches who needs it next. And subscribe to stay connected to what is unfolding. You did not start running from abundance by accident. It was learned, layer by layer, moment by moment. Life taught you that wanting more came with consequences. Somewhere along the way, you connected desire with disappointment and expectation with pain. So you adapted. You became careful. You trained yourself not to reach too far, not to hope too loudly, not to trust too deeply. At first, this adaptation looked like wisdom. It felt mature to temper excitement. It felt spiritual to say, "I don't need much." It felt safe to keep your dreams modest and your prayers restrained. But underneath that restraint was not peace, it was protection. You learned to run when things began to go well. Maybe you grew up watching resources disappear as fast as they arrived. Maybe promises were made to you and then broken. Maybe authority figures mishandled power, money, or favor, and you subconsciously vowed never to become like them. Or maybe every time life lifted you slightly higher, something painful followed, training your nervous system to associate increase with loss. So you made inner vows, often without words. If I don't expect much, I won't be disappointed. If I stay small, I'll stay safe. If I don't receive too much, I won't have too much to lose. These vows felt like survival, but survival is not the same as alignment. Over time, this running became automatic. When opportunities appeared, you questioned them. When favor showed up, you downplayed it. When resources came near, you felt the urge to push them away or give them away too quickly. Not from generosity, but from discomfort. You told yourself it was humility, but humility does not reject what God assigns. You weren't afraid of failure. You were afraid of responsibility, because responsibility means visibility. Responsibility means accountability. Responsibility means that your choices matter at a higher level. And you learned early that being seen can be dangerous. So instead of standing still and allowing life to meet you where you are, you stayed in motion mentally, emotionally, spiritually, always adjusting, always delaying, always saying later to things that required you to become someone new. But here is what most people never realize: you can outrun lack, but you cannot outrun calling. And when provision is tied to purpose, it will pursue you no matter how many internal detours you take. This is why the pressure increased instead of disappearing. The restlessness you feel now is not impatience, it is exposure. The old strategies no longer work because they were never meant to carry you forward, only to get you through. And seasons of through always expire. Your resistance to receiving is not a character flaw. It is a wound. A wound formed when trust was violated, when hope cost you something, when obedience did not seem to pay off right away. And wounds, if not healed, eventually turn into philosophies, beliefs about how life works. Beliefs that sound reasonable but quietly cap your capacity. You may have said things like, "Money changes people. It's better not to depend on resources. Less is simpler. I don't want the burden of more." But behind each statement is an unspoken fear. What if I can't handle it? What if I fail at a higher level? What if I lose myself? Running felt safer than finding out. Yet even now, something in you knows that safety is no longer the assignment. Stability is no longer the goal. You are being drawn into a season where trust must replace control, and receiving must replace resisting. This is where many people confuse fear with discernment. Discernment brings clarity and peace. Fear brings hesitation and contraction. If every door that opens makes you shrink instead of expand, that is not wisdom, it is conditioning. And conditioning can be unlearned. You are not being asked to become reckless. You are being asked to become honest. Honest about the fact that you have equated humility with hiding. Honest about the fact that you have equated spirituality with struggle. Honest about the fact that you have been more comfortable giving than receiving because receiving requires vulnerability. To receive means to admit need. To receive means to admit trust. To receive means to admit that you cannot do everything alone. And that admission is where healing begins. The reason your old life patterns are collapsing is not because you did something wrong, but because they cannot support what is coming. Old vows break under new weight. Old mindsets crack when exposed to new light. This is the moment when running slows down, not because you are tired, but because you are ready to turn around and see what has been following you all along. And in this turning, there is reassurance. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. A sound mind does not flee from blessing. A sound mind does not sabotage increase. A sound mind does not confuse fear with wisdom. Power, love, and clarity were always meant to guide your relationship with provision, not anxiety, guilt, or avoidance. You are not losing control, you are gaining alignment. The running served its purpose. It kept you alive when you did not yet have the framework to carry more. But that season is ending. And the first sign of its ending is not abundance. It is honesty. Honesty about why you learned to run. Honesty about what you are afraid to hold. Honesty about who you are becoming. When that honesty settles, the chase will feel different. Less like pressure, more like invitation. Scarcity is not just about money. It is a lens. A way of interpreting reality that quietly shapes every decision you make. It tells you that there is never enough time, never enough support, never enough margin to rest, to risk, to receive. And if you are honest, you have lived under this lens for a long time, long enough that it feels normal. Scarcity taught you to measure instead of trust, to calculate instead of obey, to prepare for loss instead of expecting provision. It trained your nervous system to stay alert, even when nothing is wrong. That is why peace sometimes feels unfamiliar. Silence feels suspicious. Ease feels temporary. You are always waiting for the other shoe to drop. because scarcity whispers that stability never lasts. This mindset did not appear overnight. It was reinforced through repetition, through seasons where effort outweighed reward, through moments when you gave your best and received little in return, through watching others advance while you stayed behind, wondering what invisible rule you missed. Over time, scarcity becomes spiritualized. You begin to believe that struggle is proof of faithfulness, that hardship is a sign of depth, that ease must mean compromise. And so, without realizing it, you resist environments where things flow, where support is available, where provision comes without pain. But scarcity is not holiness, and lack is not loyalty. Scarcity keeps you reactive, always responding to emergencies, always fixing, always patching. There is no space to build, because all your energy goes into maintaining. You survive well, but you do not expand. You endure, but you do not multiply. And the most dangerous part is this scarcity disguises itself as realism. It says, be practical. It says, don't get your hopes up. It says, this is just how life works. But realism without revelation becomes limitation. You were not designed to live calculating every step. You were designed to move from alignment, not anxiety. Yet scarcity convinces you that control is safer than trust, that holding back is wiser than stepping forward, that protecting what little you have is more important than preparing for what is coming. This is why breaking scarcity is not about money appearing, it is about thinking shifting. The moment your mind changes, your behavior follows, and the moment your behavior shifts, your capacity grows. The moment your capacity grows, provision finds somewhere safe to land. Scarcity hates margin. It fills your schedule. It crowds your thoughts. It keeps you busy enough to avoid confronting deeper fears. Because if you slow down, you might realize how much you have been living beneath your potential. And here is the truth. Most never face scarcity as loud because it is afraid of silence. In silence, you hear truth. In stillness, you sense guidance, and guidance leads you out of cycles that scarcity depends on. Breaking this stronghold requires a decision that feels risky at first. The decision to believe that supply is not earned by anxiety, that provision is not attracted by desperation, that overflow does not come from hoarding, but from alignment. This does not mean ignoring wisdom, it means refusing fear. You begin by noticing your internal reactions. When opportunity appears, do you tense or relax when support is offered? Do you accept or deflect when something good happens? Do you enjoy it or do you immediately prepare for its loss? These reactions reveal agreements you have made, and agreements can be broken. Scarcity tells you to wait until everything is guaranteed. Faith tells you to move when alignment is clear. Scarcity says protect yourself. Faith says prepare yourself. One shrinks your world, the other expands it. This is why your environment has been shifting, why certain patterns have been interrupted, why familiar methods no longer work. You are being invited out of survival mode into stewardship mode. And stewardship requires trust that there will be more to manage, not less. The breaking happens internally before it manifests externally. When you stop apologizing for wanting stability, when you stop feeling guilty for desiring margin, when you stop equating peace with laziness. You are not meant to grind forever. You are not meant to barely get by. You are not meant to live braced for impact. The old structure is cracking because it cannot stretch, and instead of patching it again, you are being asked to let it fall. This is not recklessness, this is release. Release of beliefs that no longer serve you. Release of habits formed in seasons that are over. Release of narratives that kept you functional but limited. And you are not alone in this transition. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 37, verse 19. In the days of famine they shall be satisfied, and in the days of abundance they shall have plenty. Notice what this reveals. Satisfaction is not dependent on conditions. Plenty is not accidental. There is a design that transcends cycles, a supply that operates beyond visible economy. Scarcity wants you to believe you are at the mercy of circumstance. Truth says you are under provision. If this realization is settling into you not as excitement, but as clarity, anchor it. Type "I choose trust" in the comments. This short declaration is not about convincing anyone else. It is about interrupting an old agreement. Writing it is a physical act that reinforces a mental shift from managing fear to embracing alignment. Let this be the moment you stop rehearsing lack and start recognizing supply. There is a moment in every true rebuilding where alignment becomes more powerful than effort. Not when resources appear first, but when hearts align first. Scripture preserves one of the clearest examples of this pattern in the story of Nehemiah. Not as history alone, but as a blueprint. Nehemiah did not begin with money. He did not begin with armies. He did not begin with materials. He began with burden. From a place of exile, he heard about the broken walls of Jerusalem, and something in him broke open as well. Not emotionally alone, but directionally. He wept. Yes, but then he prayed. And after prayer, something subtle but decisive happened. Clarity replaced emotion. He knew what needed to be rebuilt, and he knew it would require people, order, and courage. What followed was not chaos, but alignment. When Nehemiah stood before the king, he did not beg wildly. He spoke with precision. He knew what he needed, how long it would take, and where the authority came from. And something remarkable occurred. The resources were released before the work even began. Letters, protection, provision, timber, access. This is how divine supply often works. It waits for clarity. Provision did not come because Nehemiah was desperate. It came because he was aligned. He did not rush ahead of assignment, nor did he hesitate once the assignment was clear. He stood in the narrow space between humility and authority, and heaven met him there. But the greater miracle came later. When the people gathered to rebuild the wall, they did not all have the same skill. Some were builders. Some were guards. Some carried materials. Some repaired what was directly in front of their own homes. What mattered was not uniformity, but unity. Each person took responsibility for the portion assigned to them. And when that alignment took place, something shifted in the invisible economy. Resistance came, but it did not stop provision. Opposition arose, but it did not drain momentum. Threats intensified, but supply did not dry up. Because when leadership is clear and people are aligned, resources begin to move with purpose. No waste, no confusion, no striving for position. Everyone understood the mission. And because of that, the work accelerated beyond logic. What should have taken years was completed in weeks. This is not about construction. This is about principle. When vision is fragmented, provision hesitates. When purpose is unclear, resources scatter. But when alignment locks in, supply flows. Nehemiah did not manipulate the people. He reminded them of who they were and what they were rebuilding. He did not motivate through fear, but through identity. He positioned them to see that the work was bigger than personal comfort. And when identity clicked, generosity followed naturally. People gave time, energy, protection, skill without coercion. This is what alignment unlocks. Notice something important: Nehemiah did not hoard control. He delegated, he trusted, he empowered, he stood watch, but he did not micromanage. Leadership did not choke the flow, it guided it. And because of this, the people stayed engaged, even under pressure. They worked with tools in one hand and weapons in the other, not frantic, but focused. This is what happens when fear no longer runs the system. When purpose outranks panic. You are meant to understand this story not as a leader above others, but as a leader of assignment. Because every divine rebuilding begins internally before it becomes visible externally. The walls that need rebuilding in your life: capacity, trust, provision, structure will not be restored through hustle alone. They require alignment. Alignment between what you know is right and what you are willing to do. Alignment between what you pray for and what you prepare for. Alignment between leadership within you and cooperation within you. Once that alignment happens, you will notice something familiar from Nehemiah's story. Resources stop resisting you. Support comes from unexpected places. Timing accelerates. Help appears without begging. Not because you forced it, because you positioned yourself correctly. This is why scattered effort exhausts you. This is why divided focus drains you. This is why partial obedience delays flow. Supply follows order. And Scripture makes this pattern unmistakably clear. According to what is revealed in the book of Nehemiah, chapter 2, verse 18. And they said, "Let us rise up and build." So they strengthened their hands for this good work. Notice the sequence. Agreement came first. Strength followed. Work advanced. The strengthening did not precede the decision, it followed it. Unity activated capacity. This is the season you are entering. Not a season of frantic striving. Not a season of lonely carrying. But a season where alignment invites acceleration. And just as Nehemiah's story has traveled centuries to reach you, this message may be meant to reach someone else who is standing at the edge of rebuilding. If this spoke to you, share it not out of obligation, but out of resonance. If you want to remain connected to messages that focus on alignment rather than pressure, you know where to find that connection. And if this space has been helping you recalibrate, staying connected is a quiet way of saying yes to the process. The wall was rebuilt when the people stood together, and supply followed unity every time. Receiving is often harder than giving. Giving keeps you in control. Giving lets you decide timing, quantity, and distance. Receiving, however, places you in a position of openness, and openness requires trust. This is why guilt and fear so often rise when abundance approaches. Not because you do not deserve it, but because you were never taught how to hold it without bracing for impact. You may notice this pattern clearly now. When something good comes toward you, your first instinct is not gratitude, it is tension. You wonder what it will cost later. You search for hidden strings. You ask yourself whether you've earned it enough, suffered enough, waited long enough. Somewhere inside, a quiet voice suggests that ease must be suspicious. That voice is not wisdom, it is conditioning. Guilt enters when you believe that blessing must be paid for with pain. Fear enters when you believe that holding more will expose you to loss. Together, they form a subtle barrier not strong enough to stop provision entirely, but strong enough to limit how much you allow yourself to receive. So you accept just enough, enough to survive, enough to function, enough to stay respectable, but not enough to rest, not enough to expand, not enough to overflow. This is how self-sabotage hides behind humility. You might downplay opportunities. You might delay decisions that would stabilize you. You might give away what was meant to establish you, calling it generosity when it is actually discomfort with being supported. And every time you do this, you reinforce the belief that abundance is unsafe in your hands. Yet the truth is simpler and deeper. You were never meant to carry provision alone. Abundance is not given to isolate you, it is given to position you, to allow you to serve without strain, to build without burnout, to give without depletion. Guilt says others have less, so you should not receive. Truth says, if you are resourced, you can respond. Fear says, if you hold too much, you might lose it. Truth says, if you steward well, you are entrusted with more. Receiving without fear does not mean ignoring responsibility. It means understanding that responsibility is part of the gift, not a punishment attached to it. When you accept what is given with clarity, you create stability. When you reject it out of guilt, you create cycles of strain. This is why healing around receiving often happens quietly. There is no dramatic breakthrough at first, just a subtle permission you give yourself to stop flinching when life is kind to you. To stop explaining why you do not need what you clearly do. To stop shrinking your capacity to match old narratives. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you received without immediately planning how to offset it? Without mentally apologizing, without preparing for loss. That hesitation reveals where fear still speaks. Fear tells you that abundance will change you. Alignment reveals that abundance will reveal you. If receiving exposes anxiety, it is not because abundance is wrong, it is because something inside you still associates safety with lack. But lack was never meant to be your refuge. It was a season, not an identity. This is why shame must be addressed. Shame says, who do you think you are when provision approaches? Shame measures worth by past mistakes rather than present alignment. It reminds you of where you failed, where you delayed, where you compromised, suggesting that these moments disqualify you from ease. But alignment is not about perfection, it is about posture. A posture that says, I will receive what is assigned to me without apology and without arrogance. This posture allows peace to settle, and peace is not passive, it is stabilizing. When you receive calmly, you stop leaking energy. You stop overworking to prove something. You stop running from support that was meant to strengthen you. Notice how your body responds when you imagine stability without struggle. If tension arises, that is not conviction, it is habit. Habits can be retrained. Receiving becomes safe when you realize that abundance does not belong to you. It passes through you. You are not the source. You are the steward. And a steward does not feel guilty for managing what was entrusted to them. Scripture anchors this truth with gentle clarity. Scripture says in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 27, Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. The peace that accompanies divine provision does not come with anxiety attached. It does not demand repayment through suffering. It settles, it grounds, it brings order. If what you are receiving brings chaos, it may not be aligned. But if it brings peace and fear rises anyway, that fear is being exposed, not affirmed. This is the moment where receiving becomes an act of faith. Faith is not only believing for more, it is believing that you can hold more without losing yourself. And this belief is built through small permissions. Accepting help. Saying yes without explaining. Allowing stability to exist without waiting for disaster. These moments retrain your inner world to recognize safety and provision rather than threat. As this settles, mark the shift intentionally. Type 9999 in the comments, not as a ritual, but as a signal. 9 represents completion. This number marks the closing of an old agreement with guilt and fear, and the readiness to receive what aligns with peace. Let this be the season where you stop apologizing for what you are meant to steward. Overflow is not activated by desire alone. It responds to structure. This is the part many misunderstand. They believe that once abundance arrives, stewardship will follow naturally, but the order is reversed. Stewardship comes first, not as proof of worthiness, but as evidence of readiness. Stewardship is not about managing large amounts. It is about managing responsibility without resentment. It is about consistency when no one is watching. It is about honoring what is already in your hands, even when it feels small compared to what you sense is coming. You are never being evaluated on volume. You are being shaped through faithfulness. This is why certain delays were necessary, not because heaven hesitated, but because you were being trained to hold weight without distortion. Anything released too early becomes a burden instead of a blessing. Stewardship protects you from that burden. Consider how often people ask for increase while secretly avoiding structure. They want overflow without order, flexibility without discipline, expansion without accountability. But overflow without stewardship does not elevate, it overwhelms. True stewardship begins internally. How do you treat your time? How do you manage your energy? How do you respond to responsibility that feels repetitive or unseen? These answers reveal whether you are prepared for multiplication. Faithfulness is not glamorous. It often looks ordinary, quiet, routine. It does not announce itself, but it creates capacity. Every time you follow through, every time you finish what you start, every time you honor commitments without needing recognition, you widen your internal container. This container matters. Overflow is not poured into chaos, it is poured into structure. That structure includes boundaries, the ability to say no, the discipline to rest, the courage to prioritize what aligns rather than what impresses. Many people lose potential overflow because they confuse busyness with stewardship. But busyness scatters energy. Stewardship directs it. You have been learning this, whether you noticed or not. Moments where you had to manage disappointment without bitterness. Seasons where you had to steward uncertainty without panic. Periods where you had to remain consistent without immediate reward. These were not wasted, they were formative. Stewardship also requires courage. The courage to make decisions that are not popular. The courage to allocate resources intentionally rather than emotionally. The courage to plan beyond urgency and think in terms of longevity. This is where many falter, not because they lack faith, but because they fear responsibility more than lack. Lack feels familiar. Responsibility feels exposing. Responsibility means your choices have visible consequences. But overflow is attracted to clarity. Clarity in values. Clarity in priorities. Clarity in execution. When you know why you do what you do, resources align with that purpose. When your actions match your convictions, trust builds not only spiritually but practically. People, opportunities, and support are drawn to consistency. Stewardship also corrects a dangerous belief that overflow exists for comfort alone. Comfort is a byproduct, not the goal. Overflow exists to stabilize systems, to build environments where others can breathe, to remove strain so that calling can be fulfilled without burnout. This is why stewardship always includes vision beyond self, not grandiosity responsibility. When you begin to see provision as assignment rather than reward, your relationship with it changes. You stop clinging. You stop fearing loss. You manage with intention instead of attachment. This is when multiplication becomes possible. Because multiplication requires trust, not only that more can be given, but that it will be handled well. Scripture consistently ties increase to faithfulness, not charisma, to obedience, not ambition. This pattern is quiet but unwavering. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 16, verse 10, He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Notice the emphasis. The least comes first. The much follows. Faithfulness is not proven at the level of abundance, it is revealed there. You have been faithful in ways that were never applauded. You have managed weight without recognition. You have carried responsibility quietly. This matters. Stewardship refines your discernment. It teaches you what to accept and what to decline. It sharpens your sense of timing. It helps you differentiate between opportunity and distraction. Overflow cannot land where everything is welcomed indiscriminately. You are learning to say yes with intention. You are learning to say no without guilt. You are learning to move with purpose rather than impulse. These are not small shifts, they are structural upgrades. And structure creates peace. When things are ordered, anxiety decreases. When systems are clear, energy returns. When responsibility is embraced rather than avoided, confidence grows. This confidence is not arrogance, it is grounded assurance. The kind that does not rush, does not scramble, does not need to prove anything. It simply manages what is present while preparing for what is next. Overflow responds to this posture, not suddenly, not theatrically, but steadily. Increase that arrives through stewardship stays. Increase that arrives without it disappears. You are not being rushed into overflow. You are being rooted into it. And when it comes, it will feel familiar, not overwhelming, because you have already been living the principles that sustain it. What you are stepping into now is not simply a season of receiving, it is a season of circulation. This is where the story completes its arc. Because divine wealth was never meant to stop with you. It was meant to move through you, refined by your character, guided by your discernment, and released according to assignment. You were not prepared all this time just to be comfortable. You were prepared to be entrusted. There is a difference. Comfort seeks preservation. Entrustment requires movement. And this is why your journey has been marked by pruning, delay, and internal restructuring. You were being shaped into someone who could hold abundance without becoming owned by it. Someone who could manage increase without losing clarity. Someone who could stand visible without becoming inflated. A crown in Scripture is never just decoration. It is responsibility made visible. To be crowned is to be recognized as one who can carry weight for the sake of others. And the wealth you are aligned with now, whether financial, relational, intellectual, or positional, is part of that weight. It is not random. It is not indulgent. It is directional. Circulation requires courage, because once abundance flows through you, you are no longer hidden. Decisions matter more. Your stewardship affects more than just your own life. Your obedience creates pathways for others. And your restraint can protect entire systems from collapse. This is why identity must be settled before overflow is released. If you see yourself as unworthy, you will sabotage flow. If you see yourself as entitled, you will corrupt it. But if you see yourself as entrusted, you will manage it with reverence. Entrustment brings a new kind of confidence, not loud, not performative, quietly grounded. You no longer chase validation because your purpose is clear. You no longer compete because your lane is defined. You no longer hoard because you understand replenishment. This is what it means to be crowned not above others, but for others. You may notice that as this identity settles, your prayers change. You ask less for proof and more for precision, less for rescue and more for wisdom, less for escape and more for endurance. This is maturity, and with maturity comes authority. Authority does not need to announce itself. It is recognized by its fruit. Stability, clarity, consistency. These are the marks of someone who can be trusted with flow. This is also where temptation changes. It becomes subtler. The temptation is no longer to give up, but to overextend, to say yes to too much, to confuse access with assignment, to mistake applause for approval. But you have been trained for this discernment. You know now that not every open door is yours. Not every opportunity aligns. Not every demand deserves your supply. Circulation requires boundaries. You are learning to release without depletion, to give without resentment, to invest without attachment. This is how wealth stays clean. This is how abundance remains sustainable. This is how legacy is formed. And make no mistake, legacy is already in view. Not just what you leave behind materially, but what you stabilize while you are here. The systems you strengthen, the people you empower, the environments you bring order to simply by your presence. This is why your life could not remain small. This is why survival mode had to end. This is why alignment was non-negotiable. Because what flows through you now will outlast you. Scripture captures this authority with clarity and restraint. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18. But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you power to get wealth, that He may establish His covenant. Power to get wealth, not to glorify self, but to establish purpose. Covenant is about continuity, about generations, about systems that hold. You are stepping into that continuity, and as you do, remember this: you are not required to convince anyone. Your life will speak, your consistency will testify, your peace will validate what words never could. If this message has helped steady you, if it has brought clarity rather than hype, sharing it is not promotion, it is circulation. And staying connected is not obligation, it is alignment. Communities form around resonance, not pressure. What is unfolding is not sudden. It is earned through obedience. It is sustained through stewardship. And it is crowned through purpose. You are ready. Before you move on from this moment, don't rush to label it or lock it into a conclusion. Some messages are not meant to end cleanly. They are meant to stay with you, to surface later in quiet moments, to return when life presents a choice instead of an answer. What you've heard is not a command, it is not a demand, it is an invitation to notice what is already shifting, an invitation to stop bracing and start listening, an invitation to recognize that what is ahead of you does not need to be chased or feared. You may walk away and feel nothing dramatic. That is okay. Realignment often feels subtle at first, like a compass quietly correcting its direction, like tension slowly leaving the shoulders, like decisions becoming clearer without force. Pay attention in the coming days to what no longer drains you, to what suddenly feels lighter, to what you are no longer willing to tolerate. Those are signals. You don't need to announce anything, so you don't need to prove anything. You don't need to explain what's changing inside you. Let it unfold naturally. Some people will resonate with this message immediately. Others may only understand it later. Some may never need it at all. That's how alignment works. It meets those who are ready without convincing the rest. If this message stays with you, let it. If it passes through you, that's fine too. If it brings clarity, hold on to that. If it raises questions, allow them to mature. There is no pressure here, no urgency disguised as spirituality, no requirement to respond. And if, at some point, you feel led to share this with someone because it feels relevant, grounding, or timely, the choice will come from resonance, not obligation. The same goes for staying connected. Alignment is always voluntary. It cannot be forced, and it does not need persuasion. For now, simply return to your life with a little more awareness. Notice where you stop running. Notice where you stand still. Notice what finally catches up to you. Some things arrive quietly. Some things arrive ready. Some things arrive only when you are. Let this ending remain open, just like what's ahead.